Great. I'd like to welcome Jen Skull. How are you?
I think
Morning.
Good morning to you. Where are you speaking from?
Finally achieved to make the camera and the microphone work.
Yeah, that's good. And where are you speaking from, Jens?
I'm speaking from Mexico City.
Are you really?
Condesa.
Yeah, you're a neighbour. I'm speaking from Tlayacapan, Morelos.
Oh, that's close by.
Ajijic.
And Lucy's in Guadalajara, so it's really a Mexican takeover, isn't it?
Kind of. Well, they will take over anyhow, somehow.
Yeah.
They will. You're right.
Yeah, well, our northern neighbours took a lot from Mexico a long time ago. It might be the time for Mexico to take it back again. I don't know.
I hope they're going to take back the right stuff.
Take back the
right things.
Yeah. Let's hope so. Yeah. And
well, thank you very much for having me. And,
oh, you're very welcome, brother. Very welcome indeed. What country do you originate from?
I'm Swiss born. And Mexico raised. And I live in LA, but I cannot be there because of visa reasons for some time. So I should be back in the States within a month, maybe. I have no perspective yet, which I could say, yeah, it's going to happen then, because it takes time.
Yeah, bureaucracy, no?
Well, it's a mix between bureaucracy and just as well. It's also the situation right now. The USCIS is working, but they can actually do whatever they want. They do not have to let you into the country. But yeah, let's see how this is working out. I'm pretty sure that it's going to work out. Yeah, I have to get back.
Yeah. And Rachel, how are you this morning, or this afternoon, or wherever you are? Rachel Marie, I see a black box with your name in it, and your microphone's muted, and I'm wondering if you're there.
Yeah, sorry, I have kids around me, so I have to go in a quieter place. Hi, how are you? It is morning. It's 10:11 where I'm at.
And where are you from at the moment?
I am in Michigan.
United
States.
Yeah, it's a lot colder than Mexico.
Yeah, it is. But I am born and raised in North Las Vegas, Nevada. So that's a little bit more what it's like in Mexico.
Yeah. And just to recap on the last sessions, if you weren't here last week, we were running through a clarity tool, which was designed by Mike from the KBB organization to establish your goals, your future goals. And the imagined exercise last week was to take ourselves 1 year ahead and to look back on what we'd done this year and the extent to which we'd achieved our goals. That's what the substance of our discussion last week was. So you've come in on that, and what we're looking at now, today is the question of why we had set those goals. It might be possible if you have what your goals are, Marie and Jens, you could share them briefly. If you had imagined being 12 months ahead and looking back, what would you have achieved? Why are you here is really the question today. Why? But just briefly, if you'd like to bring us up to speed on what your future vision is and imagined that you had achieved it, what would it look like?
Shall I start quickly?
Yeah, you go for it, Jens.
Okay. 1 year ago, I started to develop with Sarah a virtual reality tool that educates children on plastic pollution. And we just got out of, let's say, a session where several children, I cannot say the amounts, but a high amount of children went through that program and had the possibility to see how they can use plastic differently, how they can reduce on plastic, and how they can actually replace the plastic use on their behalf, and just go down with pollution in general, plastic pollution in general. So these steps, how to do that, were shown in that virtual reality tool. And we also have a whole bunch of children that, or even young adults or adults that have a first French lesson done in virtual reality too. They were immersed into a space that is considered French, and they had the possibility to interact with the French culture into depth, and they could learn certain words based on the way how this virtual reality tool was designed by us. And that's a really big step for us to have this in the classrooms, or maybe even in homes. You don't know how this is going to develop throughout the year, but if people can connect with a culture without really being there, but can connect through the assets that are in this experience, that's one of the big goals we are having, and we will have achieved that within this year. So I went a bit back and forth in time, try to imagine how this is going, but yes, we will have we have developed really successfully tools that allow people to learn into depth about language and about environmental topic.
So this is a program, an app that you've developed yourself.
Well, we will develop this. Actually, the tools are the conceptual tools are already around. We know exactly what we want to do and how we want to do that. At least we have a prototype planned, and that's something that we will get done.
That sounds terrific. Rachel.
Hi.
Would you like?
Yeah, I did the Clarity tool with the KBB, and I'm not quite sure exactly. This course, I think, is more like I'm trying to run through it, and then I think I'm going to go back and start implementing. But when I wrote down the notes, when I used the tools, the Clarity tool, the goal that I hope to see myself is to create a curriculum, an education course for supplementing for teachers or for parents to help encourage their kids to find what they're passionate about.
So sort of life direction type of.
Right. Just kind of get them an idea of the broad range of what the kids could be interested in, and then kind of narrow down exactly what they like to do, because these kids are not taught to be creative, and as soon as they step into school, their creativity is leaving them. So I kind of want to bring those back. I want to bring back creativeness and have the kids learn to be creative again, or keep their creativeness and expound on that, and kind of get them a clear vision of what their passion is. Yeah.
Well, the KBB, if some people don't know, how many people are actually in the program of Knowledge Brokers Business? And we've got Lucy's in it, and Mike's in it, and I'm in it, and Sarah.
I think Sarah
No, I'm not. I'm just finding out about it.
Yeah, okay. And Jens, you've heard about the Knowledge Brokers business?
I heard the last time about it, but no, I have no.
You're not a member of that? No. Well, I mean, I was thinking that Lucy, last session, she was talking about this, running mini courses to re-enliven imagination, and she sort of made a comment like, you know, what the imagination of children gets squished, I think was her phrase last session. So there's a connection there between your interest, Rachel, with education and focused on children in particular,
Right.
and Lucy's discussion today. And the discussion today, because the goals that we have are not just something we've plucked out of the air. They're things that arise out of our bodies. Why we are here, why have we established these goals? Why are we teachers? And I think that's the agenda for today. The way this can be run is really up to you today. Mike and I we were communicating yesterday about about this, and my style. He sort of said, "Well, you can be the boss," and I said, "Well, I'm not too good. I'm not too good at being a boss, but what I'm more like is a sort of inquisitive Socrates. Socrates, the guy that got invited to drink hemlock." And he went around the streets of Athens in 5th century BC asking, why are you doing this? What's your purpose in life? What's your dream? I imagine this to be the attitude that he had, inquisitive, getting into people's faces and really getting them to answer the question why, you know. So that's what we're doing today in a non-aggressive way, but I'm not sure how best to proceed. I'm wondering if you could, as a group, give me some suggestions, some guidance about how you would like to respond to the why question. The options are to remain open for the whole room, for example, or to go off to pairs or 3 people to discuss it in a different fashion. I'd prefer to keep it all together, but what's your feeling on this?
Well, I'll speak. I think we're a small enough group that we can do it right here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We got a general endorsement for that? Voices,
Yes.
please?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Good.
I would like to go with whatever is comfortable for everyone. Just something that I've learned from KBB as well is that when you're answering these why questions and you're going a little bit deeper and like going out of your head and starting to think with your like a little bit more, getting a little bit more emotional, it might become like a bit intimidating, you know, when you're doing it in a bigger group. And that's what I've got from other people who are going through this school, especially that when you're really starting to think about your reasons why you're a teacher, why you're doing it, why these goals that you choose are important to you, like it goes really, really deep into your soul, I would say. And it's just like sort of more like easier when you're doing it with the partner than when you're sharing in the forum. But that's just, you know, like I said, some people are like this, others are okay with sharing with the whole group. So I'm just going to leave it to you guys to decide what's best. But my suggestion would be if we could, I could share the screen, John, so you can like walk us through this third part of the presentation. I tried to update it as much as I could, but as some of us were not actually going through KBB yet, I think it's going to be a nice reminder to everybody how it actually works. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, I changed some pictures and some text. But let me just...
You create that yourself? That's amazing.
That's Dr. John's.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that there, and thinking the emphasis, this was more to do with the idea of looking back from 12 months ahead, especially in the environment that the world's facing at the moment, which I can't ignore. That's part of the reason I'm here too, is the coronavirus and the social distancing and the element of fear and anxiety and insecurity and not knowing about what sort of future we're all going to have. How long is this going to last? How am I coping without being able to touch people that I love and care for? These sort of things go to the area of the why in terms of our life objectives and our life purpose. So it was to do that this little image came up, and here am I, here are us. We are down here with our dreams. Jens has got his plastic ecologically inspired why to get little children to understand about the relation with the environment, and Lucy's got her retired experience from being a school teacher and wanting to re-enliven people's imaginations and children's imaginations. And she's met up with Marie, who has the same sort of idea with her children crowded around her in her home. And Mike too, who started this off, this World Education Innovators was he was the founder of it, and he had his own reasons to do that too. I joined for my whys as well. And the problem is to be able to try and get free of the obstacles that we've all faced. And there are some of them, the people, the pessimists and the rejection and the friends who say you can't really do this. What do you mean? Ego, the fear of failure, the haters. You can see it. I mean, it might be useful to comment on that rather than me to. But it's the moment for us having to attend to this fictional but really felt vision that we have for the future, and to have this why investigated, because that is, as Mike was suggesting, is personal. It takes us to the private areas of our life, the parts that we need to have trust in others to share. And it might be difficult, as Mike was suggesting, that for us to do that, because it's like the striptease dancer. No, you take off one more, the veils, the 7 veils. You take them off, and you take them off, and you go down further and further to what it is really that I'm my why for all this, which gets to the reason for being here on Earth, I think.
Mm-hmm. I love the photo, by the way, because it shows that each of us might have a little bit different obstacle on the way. Some of us will be held back by the boss. The others will be held back by our closest friends or relatives, right? Some other people will just be straightforward, very fearful of what's gonna happen if they don't succeed, right? So this is actually really, really nice visualization of what's in front of us, and also this is why the third point of this tool, of this clarity tool, is so important, because if we're only staying with our like first level goals, it might be not strong enough to walk through this path, right? So that's why going to a deeper why and having this anchor that will keep us on this path all the way to the end is so important. So if you can, I'm just gonna go through to our third point. We finished over here, guys, and then is right here, right? So this is what we're gonna do right now. We have where we are. We have our starting point. We have our direction, and that's the next point. John, you wanna walk us through? these next two slides.
Well, the walking through, there's the image that we've just left does have a road on it, and does have it might be useful to go back to the road, to be looking at the road rather than looking at the jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, I'll go back to the picture in a moment.
I'd like to be led by each of us along that road. You know, I think that might be, and I mean, they're the obstacles to us, and the obstacles that we carry in our own bodies: the fear of failure, the fear of making mistakes, the feeling, the motivations for our lives, why we are doing what we're doing. All of those things can be tackled or talked about with this image of the journey in our heads, where we've started from, how important our starting point has been for why we're doing what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm. So just to give like instruction, what's happening now. I was creating when I was creating this slide, I was thinking about people who actually didn't walk through the exercise before, right? And that's why I was hoping that this will be helpful for you to understand how this works, how we're gonna go deeper into this, so we can see how this walk through this road will look like. I'll go back to the slide you mentioned.
If that makes sense to everybody, I'd like to hear some noise from somewhere else to guide me on this why journey.
I just wanted to just explain, like, well, I just love that that it really does give us a deeper why by going through this tool, the 7-layer deep, because you don't really know what your true why is until you do this, and it was pretty amazing when I did it.
Well, take us on yours, Sarah.
Rachel. Oh, I'm Rachel. Yep.
Oh, Rachel. Sorry, Rachel.
Well, when I did it, it kind of got me. It got me so deep. Well, I have my laptop upstairs and I'm downstairs, but when I just going back thinking about when I did it, it was, well, I think I might just go back upstairs. Hold on, but the end was surprising for me because I didn't expect the ending, and the ending was for my own children's happiness, to give them a world that they can live in where they can find something that they could be happy for. Let me see what I put down. I don't know if you are interested in my all 7 sets.
Okay, very much so. Yeah, this is the purpose of today, is to follow each of us through our own particular journeys and share from that level of personal experience. Yeah.
I might use the moment to go through one point that I had. And I don't think we have to go all the 7 level deep on every single point over here, but it definitely allows us to think of like from a different, to see it from a different perspective, to ask this why question a couple times, rephrasing our answer into another question. So just to give you an example, one of the things I listed on my goal list during the last session was that I want to serve students the best possible way, and I do this no matter what is the situation in the world and where I am. And now when I ask myself, why is that important? I realized that, well, it's important because of my experience that I had working in the school, where I think that what I'm giving to the students is actually like sort of meaningless, you know, and I want to do something that brings real value, you know, and then you take
why do you want that? Yeah, why do you want to bring real value?
So why do I want to bring the value? Well, that's basically comes from the fact that I burn out as a teacher very quickly, to be honest. I was only able to spend in the class altogether 10 years. And after 10 years, I was just physically not able to go to school anymore because I just thought that makes no sense whatsoever. Like whatever I do is just brings no value to anybody and makes me very, very unhappy, right? And then I realized that contributing to my closest community is very important to me, because that brings me sort of like that brings me happiness, that makes my life meaningful for me, you know. And I took this even deeper than that. I realized that for a very long time I was actually chasing after something. I was still trying to find like more, right? No matter what, I scaled up from being a teacher in the local school, and then took all the tests and extra courses to become an international teacher, and then started my journey around Asia and worked in bigger and better schools every single time, trying to figure out if I can actually get to this level that will finally satisfy me. And I was never there. I was never happy with what's happening today, right? So I was always chasing after more and more and more. And I realized that it's actually just that it's no matter what's going to happen around me, and if I'm going to be earning even more, living in an even better house, I'm still going to be unhappy, because my students that are like going through this whole process are still not successful, right? And that was bothering me, but I didn't know about it, and I linked it with my own journey through education that failed me even more, because my first degree was a civil engineer. I became a civil engineer because I believed that, you know, that at that moment that I was going to the school, it was kind of the best school in my country, and it was very difficult to get to that school and stay in that school. And so I was kind of hoping that if I finish that school, I will be very successful, and it didn't happen. And it sort of like broke my first dream of education, that, you know, education will liberate you. It was kind of not true for me, and that was inside me. So what I realized is that I need to do something to make sure that I'm actually giving students this knowledge so they don't end up like me. So they have this educations that will serve them no matter what's going to happen, right? And then I sort of like directed my attention to what Rachel said. I decided that it's very important, because I need to make sure that students love learning and love finding new ways to look at things and innovate and create and just keep on growing. And that's not happening in the school. That's why I'm on this journey. That's why I need to find a way how to teach online and get the access to students directly through social media, and not through schools that will stop me from all that I want to do.